Fast and firm as we break out the big guns. In fact, the big gun right here. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett alongside, and we're off and running, Ronnie. A little Friday here in Miami Gardens.
Friday, we got a special 10-race card this afternoon. So the Rainbow Six is going to start in race number 5 this afternoon, and that's starting to build up there at 120, a little over 125.
Yeah, $125 and some change on a good card, and it's certainly nice to be back on the turf. Number of grass races in the mix, and no fewer, Ronnie, than 30 races here at Gulfstream West over the next 3 days as we finish off the month of October, and we inch closer to the midway point of this meet. It is day number 19 today of 40. Now let's do our usual daily housekeeping before we dive into the past performances and look at a bunch of replays. And up first in this opening race, Ronnie, and it's a nice little turf claimer for $8,000 turf sprinters. Ooh, 8,500.
Yeah, 8,500 in that rolling super high 5, and you'll be dealing with the 7 runners in here. So affordable bet, $1 wager. A nice way to start the afternoon with that rolling super high 5.
And a pick 5 gets underway as well. Grubert is a current 6-5 favorite. Perhaps he's vying for favoritism when it's all said and done with Ralph Zady's Our Cat Daddy. 2 major players as we start that pick 5, and then it builds like it normally does, and there's just that buzz. No matter the venue, the time of the year that we're running at here in South Florida, it's just there's something great each and every card when that Rainbow Six begins. $125,000, and Ronnie actually threw in the $58, right?
Yeah,
that's yours?
And the $58 in it. I always mention this over the, as soon as it gets over that triple digit 100,000 mark, it really starts to build. So great, and you can have it for 20 cents.
Yeah,
today.
love that. 20 cents. Ronnie will have a ticket coming your way in just a few moments here on GPW today. And then it begins the second half of the card, that is, with race number 6 and the 50-cent late pick 5. So let's get down to business here, and we'll dive right into these fast and firm conditions. And running and gunning is what these $8,000 turf sprinters do best as they meet on the grass at 5 furlongs, and getting back to the likelihood of our Cat Daddy and Grubert vying for favoritism. I know, Ronnie, I can see you've got them 1-2, I've got them 1-2, and they're the only 2 that I used in this opening pick 5. 4 and 6 to start as these horses square off again, and I feel as though they have a bit of a class edge and talent edge. I was thoroughly confused with race number 2 today, Ronnie. Did you have a strong opinion in that maiden claimer?
I didn't. I mean, you know, it's logical that everybody's going to bet the one in there. That's her MO, but I think that it's a wide open affair, and if I was putting my early pick 5 to get the ticket, I would do the same thing. Go deep in there because there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Definitely. Everybody's lightly raced. Some good trainers as well at the helm. Race number 3, much like the first, which it's about the rematch between our Cat Daddy and Grubert, I feel as though the third, for me anyway, centers around the big contingent coming out of the second race at GPW on October 14th. And I'm thinking maybe Elle is Dreaming. Has got a shot to wire the field on the grass today. She's my top pick. Pletcher for me, baby. The Tap Army in the house and in full effect with Colt and Mississippi in race 4, dropping out of a real deep rendition of the Sapling at Monmouth Park. And then as far as capping things, I know you're a huge Kathleen O'Connell fan. I took the one Sweet Irish just off the respect of Kathleen.
I got the my best bet in that race, and that is the 6, Mackenzie Capri, and it's strictly a trip note, which we'll talk about a little later on. This horse had a ton of trouble, thought ran well, and actually singled that horse, but we'll talk about that when we get to the Rainbow Six. And it's a trip note that I
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. I probably should have included that filly to cap things out. I have her third and should have went 3 deep, but you know what? Maybe I'll make that audible before the sequence begins, a little after 1:15 p.m. Now let's get right into the replay of Grubert. Now you see how pervasive and prevalent the wet tracks have been. There have been quite a few, and it's just what we've dealt with throughout October. It's been a rainy fall here in South Florida, and Grubert today is getting back on his preferred surface. What you see is what you got in this effort on September 21st, running off the claim for the always dangerous trainer in Angel Rodriguez, and man, did this horse run well. Look at the gap between the runner-up, and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, now off that $10,000 performance, 2 lifetime claimer, that was on the Gulfstream turf course, a couple of starts back. He dual Filiti weekend, he finished 3rd. But on the other horse that you have on your ticket, and that is the 4 horse, excuse me, our Cat Daddy's when he hooked up on an off track. So I just thought our Cat Daddy's turning back to 5 furlongs, chased that front running pal of mine, Weezer Gone Gray, finished 5th, going 7.5 furlongs last time out. But I want to show you a stat on trainer Ralph Zadie over the last 5 years with horses going from a route to a sprint on the turf. He's a solid. It's a limited sampling, 5 for 20, 25%, 45% in the money, and $2.28 return investment. Something you don't consider Ralph Zadie doing all the time. And when you see the stats there, usually they're main track sprinter type horses that he runs. I just thought that was a good stat. But I'm like you. You got to use both those horses on your ticket.
Yeah, I think they're very close in ability, and the more I looked at this field, I feel as though they're a little bit quicker and more classy than anybody else, and a very good. I really prefer, and I'm a fan of like those general trainer stats, and that's a good nugget there, Ronnie, with Ralph Zadie cutting back on the grass with the 4 our Cat Daddy. Now, put on your thinking caps, folks, as we get on to race number 2 and we hit the main track for the first time today. A 5.5 furlong, 2-year-old filly, $50,000 maiden claimer. I'm not sure who will be favored here. I do not have a strong opinion. In fact, I've got a horse on top in the 3 Make Me Proud that Ronnie doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's some disagreement with me having the 5 in the mix, you having the 6 in the mix. It's just that kind of race.
And exactly what you said. And I just thought that the horse that was going to take the money and be the favorite was the inside horse. That's our MO, because of the sire, Uncle Mo.
Yeah, this is a flashy pedigree. And let's show you the 2-year-old Sail Breeze back at OBS April for That's Her MO. This is a filly by the great, legendary Uncle Mo, one of the best 2-year-olds I've ever seen, and he's become a very prolific stallion. However, and this is a move in which this filly by Uncle Mo out of a St. Pilato dam breezed in blinkers, was under a little bit of left-handed urging, didn't sell all that well, still on her inside lead, didn't switch leads on cue there, and wound up going that 1/4 mile in this OBS work of 21 4/5 with the blinkers on. They run her for $50,000 first time out. And how about a little backstory as Victor Barboza Jr. runs this filly? We'll get right down to it, and I love the live. This is like an animal kingdom here at Gulfstream Park West, Ronnie, as the Ibis chow down on that infield turf. You got the 21 4 Breeze. Dam was a 2-year-old winner, and TR Cruz pretty good, trained by David Donk up in the Big Apple. However, the fact that this horse just only brought the 30K really bothers me.
Well, maybe I can make it easier for you. Let me show you a stat on trainer Victor Barboza Jr. with first-time starters, 2-year-olds in the maiden claiming ranks on the dirt. He's 8 for 19. That's 42%.
Wow.
He's in the money 58% of the time, and he's got a $5.32 return of investment.
Amazing.
So he had a bomber in there. He does an excellent job with what this horse is doing today. So maybe that makes it a little easier. And I went with that stat. It's sort of a, you don't know with the inside post, tough taking that inside post going. And that was my reasoning for putting the horse on top.
Very good trainer who's definitely had, and I'm sure he would admit it, a little bit of a lull here during the first few weeks of this fall meet at Gulfstream West, and perhaps a lot of that could be expected. He ran a lot of horses that were claimed away from him late in the summer meet over at Gulfstream Park. Horses run through conditions, but perhaps he's got a live one with Jaramillo. I guess with the 3 Make Me Proud. Like the connections with Jose Batista and David Fox, and the fact that this horse took so much money first time out from a tough outside post, 5-2 in a 10-horse field. I'm hoping that accounts for something for a trainer I like quite a bit.
And a couple of horses in that race to come out and win their next start. So it turned out to be a little bit of a key race. I think out of 6 starters, 2 of those have won. So a good call on your part in there. And I used Touche in second in here, and that's the 4 horse that you have in second. So we thought he was a logical contender. He's dropping to the 50 level and turning back to 5.5. He encountered trouble at the start in there. Stalked the pace. He finished the distant 4th. He's got a lot of upside, I think. Maiden special weight last time out. Maybe he grabs a share.
That is a hard 6 horse.
Yeah,
they're fillies, no doubt, 2-year-old fillies. They can be yours today. You can claim one, 50,000 apiece. But man, I really struggled with the second half of today's early double. Maybe it's as easy as Victor Barboza building upon that 42% strike rate? We'll find out. Certainly makes it interesting. Now, race number 3, as we get back on the turf, these are 3 and up filly and mare, 2 lifetime claimers. Again, going back to the comment I made in the early pick 5, for me, it's all about the October 14th rematch, and I like that you went in a different direction, and you could tell us about your top pick in a few seconds. Let's show you that race right here from Miami Gardens a couple of weeks ago, and I just want, and the boys upstairs have done an excellent job at highlighting the number 3 horse, Taco Wayne Shot. Watch this ride this filly by Trap Shot gets with Gilbert Chamafi. The C's part, this was like the old school Jerry Bailey rail pass, just sitting inside. They turn for home, everybody drifts. Now, you would think at this point, perhaps Taco Wayne Shot down inside is going to win. In the end, though, she just could not match strides with the 7-5 winning favorite in Susu's Kitten. Thing that I think separates this effort today from today, I should say, is the fact that it worries me that she's A, a little inconsistent, and B, for better or for worse, I fell hook, line, and sinker thinking that just maybe the 3L is Dreaming might be able to slow this thing down on the front end.
And you're right about Taco Wayne Shot, who we both have on the ticket. 1 for 20. So I wasn't convinced, and I tried and go a different way. As I mentioned, you went with the 3 in there, which I have on my ticket somewhere.
I just don't see a lot of speed, and I'm hoping Sammy Camacho can just get her out. She can settle, not have to look anybody in the eye until it's crunch time, and maybe hold on for a piece.
And I used the 5, Beyond Eddie Ray, who you also have on your ticket in here, stretching out to a mile in the 16th today. Rallied, finished second, was 39 to 1 that afternoon. A local return going 7.5. I need the pace to collapse for this one to win, and maybe you're right about the 3 horses going to the lead there. And another horse that comes out at race you have in second, Tasmanian Angel, who broke her maiden at this distance across town at Gulfstream Park.
Didn't run well last time, but keep in mind, you're running in these lower level claiming races. There's a lot of parity. These horses run basically as a group every few weeks. Oftentimes they take turns beating one another, and I would not want to get knocked out of a multi-race wager with Tasmanian Angel winning. Now, moving on to race number 4, we do have a number of 2-year-old races and good ones lined up throughout the weekend here at Gulfstream West as we get closer and closer to that championship meet at Gulfstream Park. We're down to a field of 5 with the inside scratch of the rail horse, the 1 Salambo. You picked against the Pletcher horse, and I like the fact that you're trying to upset this race, but I am going to take the number 2 Colt and Mississippi, and let's show you this son of Pioneer of the Nile winning first time out at Saratoga. This was about as game and effort as you'll ever see. It looked like for more than a few strides, he was in deep, deep trouble. We'll roll it as they pass the 3/16 pole, and they've got that long home stretch on the Saratoga main track. Now, if we could just freeze it right there, look where this horse is outside. I mean, it really looks like the eventual runner-up in this race has got Colton, Mississippi dead to rights. We'll roll it from there, and you can watch. This almost in a way, the stakes weren't as great, but almost reminded me, Ronnie, of Tisnow coming back and turning back everybody after losing the lead in the 01 Breeders' Cup Classic. That was just a marvelous race, I thought, out of Colt and Mississippi. And the race he's dropping out of has been, you're a key race fan. It's been a key race.
No, it's a good race to come out of the sapling up at Monmouth, but this horse ran last in there. Training well now up at there. If this horse wins, I would not be shocked. But I went with a horse I just liked its performance last time, and that was the 5 Always a Dreamer. Now in the Steve Townbond, it's the son of Stroll. He's stepping up to face winners. He really shook off early pressure last time. He broke his maiden across town at Gulfstream Park. I was impressed. He drew it. He won it by 5 widening lengths, and it's guessing on my part. I mean, Colton, Mississippi, you know is going to take all the money in here. Trying to be a little cute. I was impressed with that performance. Threw it on my ticket.
And he ran last time. He was very impressive, almost like a runaway bull in a china shop. Just to backtrack to that sapling, this reminded me of a sapling, which obviously has been a long time and long-term race on the Jersey Shore. This was kind of like an old-school sapling. Now, I know Colton, Mississippi was 10th, beaten about 20 lengths, but look at the races. The horses that ran in that race have come back to start in. You have got Cowboy Karma, who came back, was a good, hold on a sec, let me clear that, a good fourth, beaten just a few lengths in the Champagne at Belmont. There was a stakes winner, an Ohio bred, who came back to win at Belterra Park. And we even had a few more winners in the mix, including this horse, Smooth Bee, who came back, won an optional claimer at Laurel, and then a stakes winner for $75K at Delaware Park. That looks like a sapling that I would have thought of back in the 90s when you might get Skip-Away or somebody running as a 2-year-old.
Well, it's a monster key race for sure. And just, you know, like I said, this horse is going to be odds on. You're going to try and beat it. You got to use it on you, especially if you're putting your early pick 5. Take it together talking about Colts and Mississippi.
All right, no chalk-eating weasel on the set today, folks. The man trying to upset the Pletcher barn in the 4th. And it's all about Ronnie chasing the rainbow with all of us when we come back here on Gulfstream West today.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
And Gulfstream is pulling away. Blows them away with an eye-opening performance. Awesome again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear.
That Go Zapper commercial never gets old, and in fact, he's got a firster running in Sunday's 10th race for trainer Todd Pletcher. I think a firster by the name of Tito Chip, who they paid about $400,000 for. He's one of 2 Pletcher 2-year-olds in Sunday's nightcap race number 10. But that's a long way down the line.
We got a bunch of days to go.
Oh, we got plenty of racing and plenty of days to go before we get to it, and of course none more important than your Friday Rainbow 6.
And yeah, as I mentioned a little earlier, you're going to see I'm singling the number 6 Mackenzie Capri in here, and this is just a sampling what I think is going to happen. You see the rest of the progression. I was able to spread a little bit more, finding this single that I think this horse will run well in here, and it's a $32.40 ticket, and I'll know right away if my trip call is going to work this afternoon. Let me tell you about the 6 Mackenzie Capri. They're making her local return at this $16,000 level, but she had trouble last time out across town. She was stuck behind a wall of horses on the final turn. Really, you just sensed that this horse would have found a spot, would have been able to go through and maybe be something. Now comes to the 8th pole, has to steady and alter course. Now it's not the worst steady in the whole world, but you know how to steady out, how to alter course, and finished 3rd behind the next out winner called Sweet Abdication. And I just thought with that race last time and the trouble in that race at this level against this competition, this one might be the one to beat.
Yeah, some good points there, Ronnie, and certainly maybe missed one on my part as far as putting in that early pick 5. My play, and it's more of a stab and more out of the respect I have for trainer Kathleen O'Connell and even getting Edgar Zayas. That's on the number 1 Street Heiress. She's the new face here. She's never run this cheap. She's never run for Kathleen. She's got a couple of works at GPW. I like that. That means she didn't ship in 2 days ago, and she's immediately in a race. And I can tell you the dam was, although a minor claimer, so to speak, was a 3-time turf winner. I think that bodes well, and I know you're a huge Kathleen O'Connell fan, too.
Huge fan, and this horse actually comes out of a really nice race that produced 3 next out winners from 5 starters. And you see the horse, the second horse that won came back from Laurel and won an allowance race at Laurel. It was a pretty nice performance. So, key race, I'm going against all the things I usually do today, but I like the trip note on the number 6, Mackenzie Capri.
The man's been waiting for Mackenzie Capri to run back. Now, the late pick 5, of course, begins as we start the second half of this Friday, October 27th, here at GPW. It's all about the late pick 5 and the rainbow from this point on. And I used 3 horses in this opening leg, including my best bet on the program. Now, he is not the centerpiece of race number 6. I am a fan of Transistor. I think he's probably a little dirtied up, and he's faced much better as he drops down. Anyway you slice it, though, Madonnas is the one they've got to get around, who ran a good and fast third last time out with the 67 Buyer. Moving on to race number 7, Southern and Sassy, just a little more consistent. I see Ron's got her second, pick Proper Princess on top. I'm going to single her for better or for worse. Race number 8, the old 1, 2, 3, the inside post for me. Ronnie's got Freckles Khan on top. I like seeing that. What'd you do, Ronnie, in the 9th? That's our feature today for Florida Breds, and it is a good one.
Yeah, and I just kept going back, and I think it's a favorite here. Making her first start, she rallied to finish third. She was beaten a half length. Out of that race came 2 horses that won. One was Gaultier. The other one is metaphorically. Those horses in this race would be odds on. So that's why I went with the 1.
And a little Smiling Mason for me in the last on top. I went 3 deep, but, you know I'm a huge fan of Maltese Dog, and I put that horse on top of Ronnie's top pick. That is Paco and Asako. But anyway, Maltese Dog and Mr. Armando de la Cerda for me to cash. Let's get up into race number 10. We will do that in a few moments. Let's talk about the 6th, though, Ronnie, as Transistor has just faced so much better on the dirt. He might not be up to snuff with this level. I get that, because he really hasn't been a factor in any of his 5 races. However, all special weight tries, the last 2 were going 2 turns on the turf. Don't really care about that. In his races prior, he was beaten once in the slot by Bal Harbor, running against the likes of Bobby Axe and Highborn. Good enough for me to try to wake him up.
Yeah, no, and drop it down to the $25,000 level, going turf to dirt. Stanley Gold in excellent condition. And who's in the orange? MSC Alhara
Like
Nero. Now, you're talking about maybe you missing one horse. I might have missed this horse on the drop in this particular race, and I did go with the 3, as you mentioned, drop into the 25 level. Proved he can compete with this caliber competition. He followed a second-place finish against 12-5 in his career debut. Comes back, runs third against 35, going 7 in the slop last time out. I just thought off that he was the logical one. Now, I'm a little surprised that you didn't use Admiral's Kissin here, the son of Tisnow from Efren Loza Jr. But I want to show you a stat. First-time starters, 2-year-olds in the maiden claiming ranks for Efren Loza Jr. He's 4 for 21, 19%. He's in the money, 62% of the time, and he's got that almost $2 return of investment, actually $1.84. So this barn, I really respect everything they do. The horse has been training at Gulfstream Park West. I just thought a first-time start, a bit of a price, but a bit of a guess on my part.
Yeah, I think he'll have to be pretty good. There's a couple of firsters, in fact, 3 of them in this race: Henry Colazzo, Larry Pilati, and the Efren Loza firster, who you just talked about and had that good stat with. I think a firster is going to have to be pretty good to win this race. I feel it came up pretty tough for maiden 25. I sided with experience, but a good nugget there, no doubt, Ronnie, with Admiral Kiss in race number 6. But I'm hoping Transistor is quite simply dirtied up and a little better than he appears at first glance. Race number 7 on the afternoon. We get back to the turf as we go 5/8 here with this 3-and-up filly mare, $8,000 claimer. Looked at this race for a while. Did I have a real iron fist, strong grasp on it? No. But I do think in a field where a lot of these fillies and mares just aren't in good form, some of them are very inconsistent, that really isn't the case, and I don't have to worry about that with Southern and Sassy.
Been knocking on the door in back-to-back turf sprints since returning from the layup. Includes that second place finish here at this level and distance. Antonio Sano, third off the bench. Jesus Rios in the saddle. Just not sold, totally sold on this horse. Got it on the ticket, of course, in second. You have it on top. I did go with the 4 in here, Proper Princess. A previous winner here is back in South Florida for trainer Joe Orsino after ending our campaign up in New Jersey with a second-place finish. But that was from a tough outside post. It was a 75-3 lifetime claimer at this same distance, and I think it's a lateral move for this horse and tough post, and I respect what Joe does, and previous winner here at Gulfstream Park West. So why not put that one on the ticket? You got it up there, too.
Yeah, that horse definitely has a chance, and I would have to think, not talking to Joe about Proper Princess, he's probably pretty pleased with the kind of field this filly by Crown of Thorns is facing as far as taking on the locals. And in from the Big M, it's nice. It's rare. You don't see too many last-out runners, winners or otherwise, from the Meadowlands, but she was able to sneak a turf sprint in over and way up at the Big M. Now, moving on to race number 8 today, this will be the final dirt race on the program. We go with 7 in this Florida-bred 2-year-old filly, maiden special weight. And Freckles Khan, give me that speed from the inside post, and a horse who was shuffled back into the turn. Really, I think, ran better than that third-place finish last time out might suggest.
Yeah, turning back to 5 furlongs, responded to the surface switch with a third-place finish behind a next-out winner called Sold On Salsa that won pretty nicely. And in front of a next-out winner called Dancing Starlet. That was a state-bred 6-furlong sprint going 3/4 of a mile. Key race, I think that's the one to beat. Now, we're finally in agreement with one of our top picks there. I used La Chica Ripoll in second.
Who hasn't been out. If I'm not mistaken, that sprint she ran in on April 19th, that was the first 2-year-old maiden race of the season here in South Florida.
Wow.
So that was a long time ago. That was
time.
even a couple of weeks before I even moved to Florida, and she's coming back, not for a claiming tag, and no reason to think she won't run well. And the same could be said for the 6 Catharsis, who was a little sluggish early on, was very green on her inside lead through the stretch, and she checked in third for trainer David Brady.
Well, if you got the equipment changes today, they're putting blinkers on. I think that's going to help this horse.
Yeah,
this
I like
afternoon.
that. You got a couple of Cantharos fillies in the mix in race number 8, both of them with major, major chances. And as we continue on with the Florida breds, we move from the dirt to the turf, going down the stretch deep in this Friday program at GPW, and a good one is on tap. There's no question about it. These are solid, honest, very consistent horses set to battle in race number 9. Florida bred, a other than allowance optional claimer. And Lily Kurtnitz, the trainer of the one Favorite Air, we'll show you his last race from 115 days ago. He's in off a little bit of a layoff, but man, she's done such a good job with this horse, off of a trainer change during the winter time, during the championship meet, and the ride, Ramsey Zimmerman, who's not aboard today. You do get a Misael Jaramillo. If we could just pause it there. I mean, this horse had about, in the white cap right down there, about as good a trip as you could possibly get, saved ground throughout, and basically came outside that horse in the red cap on the rail. But other than that, basically never had to leave the inside fence.
Inside fence, and there you see it going to the inside there, and it was a really nice ride, as you mentioned. And I mentioned in that race a couple of horses that came out. This turned out to be a really tough race.
Yeah.
Gaultier, metaphorically, and metaphorically one of my favorite horses. They're getting a little break now. And if either one of those horses were in this race, like I said a little earlier,
They'd be favored.
They'd be odds on in the spot. So off that performance, Favorite Air, but completely bonk, has certainly been running very well.
He's been running great, and he's second off the claim for Ralph Zadie. He's on the fresh side, having started only once since late July. And the one thing, or the one potential weapon he has that I don't think Favorite Air possesses, I think he's a little more nimble, a little handier, where he can get himself maybe a little more forwardly advanced. I think Favorite Air is best when he's able to put in that one run from towards the back of the pack, and I'm hoping Gaffalione maybe takes advantage of the fact that this horse seems pretty handy.
It would be interesting to see how the turf course plays this afternoon. First day back on the turf yesterday was after that rain we had the day before. Been favoring speed there basically the last week or so, so it's interesting to see. And by race 9, you'll know exactly what's going on.
At least we hope. we hope so by
I
race
won't,
number
but they
9.
might.
Yeah, I'm in the camp with this guy, but you may know what's going on. And of course, we hope you got a big fat bankroll by the time race number 9 rolls around. And let that be the case for race number 10 as we cap things with the sprint, the 2-year-old $20,000 maiden claimer. You know I'm going all in. I got a Maltese dog homebred from Midwest. Huge fan of Midwest thoroughbreds. They've got this homebred out of a 25-year-old dam who's up there, but she has foaled a number of minor turf winners, and I'm just happy for a change that Smiling Mason is in, and it's not raining out.
It's, yeah,
right?
6 furlongs on the CL sloppy track. It's Armando de la Cerda, MCL Jaramillo handling that surface change this afternoon. Let me tell you quickly about the 5, Paco and Osco. Wellman second on the turf at this level and distance. That was a couple of starts back. Goes back to the grass, got carried out on the turn, finished 4th. That was a race, moved to the 5 furlongs on the track. As Jason mentioned earlier, we've been dodging raindrops in South Florida all fall long, but I want to show you a stat on the trainer here of the number 5 Dirt to Turf Sprints, maiden claiming, 4 for 24, 17%, 38% in the money, and just David Fawkes said, you know, $1.33 return of investment. So solid numbers, and at Smiling Mason on my ticket along with the 5 Paco and Osco, and use Candy Mix to close out my thrive.
All right, a little Candy Max there.
Candy
Second
Max.
time starting colt by Sydney's Candy who might have a chance here with Ray Gampath.
That's the one you watch.
All right, that's the one to watch, and hopefully you watch us and, of course, our horses all day long. It's GPW, Friday Scratches and Changes coming your way. Chris Griffin up in the booth, and he's coming up in just a few seconds.